So can you just do me a favor and stop trying to be like everybody else and be yourself? Because if you don't be you, then the people searching for you won't be able to find you.
Every day, countless people find themselves trapped in the same exhausting cycle. Someone they deeply care about begins pulling away, becoming distant and unavailable. Maybe the good morning texts stop coming. Plans get canceled. Conversations become one-sided. Yet somehow they still find ways to let you know they're out there, living their best life, making sure you see them thriving without you. This creates an internal storm most people can't handle. They start checking their phones obsessively, replaying every conversation, analyzing every word for hidden meaning. They convince themselves that if they just say the right thing or make the perfect gesture, everything will go back to normal. But here's what they don't realize. This entire situation is designed to test one thing. How much of your self-worth depends on their approval? The moment you react desperately, you've already lost. Modern relationships, whether romantic, family, or friendship, often operate on unspoken power dynamics. The person who cares less holds more influence. The one who needs the connection more becomes vulnerable to manipulation and mind games. When someone hurts you and then watches to see how you'll respond, they're essentially asking, "Are you the type of person who falls apart when I withdraw my attention?" Most people answer this question wrong. They immediately try to fix things, apologize for unclear reasons, or overcompensate by being extra nice. They think showing how much they care will somehow change the other person's mind. Instead, this behavior typically pushes the person further away because it confirms they can treat you poorly without consequences. Think about it from their perspective. If someone can hurt you, ignore you, or treat you dismissively, and your response is to try harder to win them back, what message does that send? It tells them your happiness depends entirely on their mood.
You do nothing, they have something to say. You do your best, they have something to say. But nobody cares about you. Nobody's gonna save you. If you don't save yourself, nobody will.
It shows them they have complete emotional control over you. Most importantly, it proves you don't value yourself enough to walk away from poor treatment. This is why silence becomes so powerful. When you stop reacting, stop chasing, and stop trying to convince someone of your worth, something fascinating happens. The person who is comfortable ignoring you suddenly doesn't know where they stand. The predictable dynamic they were used to disappears, and uncertainty enters the equation. Uncertainty is psychological kryptonite. Human beings hate not knowing where they stand with someone important to them. When you were predictably available, constantly reaching out, always responding quickly, you became a known quantity. They could take your attention for granted because they knew it would always be there. But the moment you go silent, you become unpredictable, and that changes everything. Now they're the ones checking their phone, wondering why you haven't reached out. They might scroll through old conversations looking for clues about what changed. Some might even start posting things designed to get your attention, hoping to provoke a reaction that confirms you still care. But when that reaction never comes, doubt begins to creep in. This doubt serves a crucial purpose. It forces them to actually evaluate what they lost. When you were always available, your value seemed constant and unremarkable. But your absence makes them question whether they made a mistake. They start wondering if you've genuinely moved on or if you're talking to someone else. The comfortable assumption that you'd always be waiting becomes uncertain. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. The person who hurt them sends a casual text, something vague like, "Hey, how are you?" or "Hope you're doing well." This isn't an apology or an acknowledgement of wrongdoing. It's a test to see if you're still emotionally available. The weak response is to immediately light up, thinking this means they want to reconcile. You reply quickly, maybe even enthusiastically, grateful for any sign of their attention. But this reaction tells them everything they need to know. You're still waiting. You're still hoping. You're still allowing them to control your emotional state with minimal effort. Often, once they confirm you're still accessible, they disappear again because they never intended to fix anything. They just wanted to make sure they still had power over you.
You crushed the love and the trust that she poured into you. You made her cry over and over again when all she ever did was love you. You had something rare, something beautiful. She was like a rose meant to be treasured.
The strong response is no response at all. If someone genuinely wants to make amends for hurting you, they won't send lazy breadcrumbs. They'll acknowledge what they did wrong, take responsibility, and make a genuine effort to repair the damage. Anything less than that is just ego maintenance. Silence forces them to sit with the consequences of their actions. Instead of being able to keep you as a backup option, they have to actually decide whether losing you was worth whatever they thought they were gaining. Some will decide it was, and they'll never reach out again. That tells you everything you need to know about how much they actually valued you. Others will realize they made a mistake, but by then, something crucial has happened. You've changed. The time you spent not chasing them, not seeking their validation, not trying to win them back, was time you spent rediscovering your own worth. You remembered what life was like before you needed their approval to feel complete. This transformation is the real victory. Not getting them back, not proving your worth to them, but proving it to yourself. When you stop deriving your value from someone else's treatment of you, you become genuinely powerful. You develop the ability to walk away from situations that don't serve you, even when walking away is difficult. People can sense this change in you. There's a different energy around someone who truly doesn't need external validation. They become more attractive, more respected, and more valued by others because they're no longer desperate or needy. They've learned to find their center within themselves rather than in someone else's opinion of them. The person who originally hurt you might eventually notice this transformation. They might realize that the version of you they could easily manipulate is gone. In its place is someone who knows their worth and won't accept less than they deserve. Sometimes this realization makes them want to reconnect, but by then, you're operating from a position of strength rather than desperation. This is the ultimate paradox. The moment you stop needing someone's validation is often when they become most interested in giving it to you. But here's the beautiful part. By that time, you don't need it anymore.
He puts on the biggest smile and destroys himself. Ooh, I felt that. I truly felt that.
Their approval has become nice to have rather than necessary for your happiness. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold or uncaring. It's about developing the inner strength to maintain your peace, regardless of how others treat you. It's about building a life so fulfilling that someone's presence becomes a bonus rather than a requirement. When you reach this point, you naturally attract healthier relationships because you're no longer willing to tolerate poor treatment. The people worth having in your life will recognize and respect your boundaries. They won't play games with your emotions or test how much disrespect you'll accept. They'll value your time, energy, and attention because they understand that these things aren't guaranteed. They're earned and can be withdrawn if taken for granted. This principle extends far beyond romantic relationships. In friendships, family dynamics, and professional settings, people treat you based on what you've shown them you'll accept. When you demonstrate through your actions that your peace and self-respect are non-negotiable, others adjust their behavior accordingly. The process of developing this inner strength isn't always easy. There will be moments when you want to break your silence, when the urge to reach out feels overwhelming. This is normal and doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. The key is recognizing these moments as opportunities to practice self-discipline and to reinforce your commitment to your own well-being. Remember that true strength isn't about being unfeeling. It's about feeling your emotions without being controlled by them. You can miss someone while still choosing not to chase them. You can hope for reconciliation while refusing to compromise your dignity to achieve it. This balance between emotional authenticity and self-protective boundaries is where real power lives. The most profound realization many people have through this process is that they were looking for love, validation, and security in all the wrong places. These things can only truly come from within. Other people can add to your happiness, but they cannot be the source of it without making you vulnerable to manipulation and disappointment. When you become your own source of validation, when your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's mood or decisions, you've achieved something most people never do: genuine emotional freedom. This freedom isn't about isolation or avoiding connections with others. It's about engaging with people from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. So, if someone has hurt you and you're wondering whether to reach out, remember this: the right person won't make you wonder where you stand with them. They won't play games with your emotions or test how much poor treatment you'll accept. They'll show up consistently, communicate clearly, and treat your feelings with respect. Your silence in the face of poor treatment isn't giving up. It's taking a stand. It's saying that you value yourself too much to beg for basic respect and decency. It's choosing to invest your energy in people who appreciate it rather than those who take it for granted. This choice, repeated consistently over time, will transform not just your relationships, but your entire life.